This isn't exactly the intro that I thought it was going to be. What did I do? Oh, I switched the names. All right, here goes. I don't know what I did. This is just a marker pretty much, but we're going to listen to this.
Place solitaire.
Listen to this. Yeah. What? No. Engage. Pick your eyes up.
No. No.
What is this? What did I do?
Just, what is there a song? Is there
I grabbed the wrong one. I can change that real quickly. There's a song, and I put a lot of work into it.
Just play the song.
Not this one. This isn't the one. What the
Apparently not that much.
What the hell happened? Where did those
This
save
is Bush
to?
League.
This is Bush
This
League.
is Bush League.
Yeah. Where is it at? All right. I know where it's at.
I
I
apologize,
didn't test this.
Ryan.
God darn it. What a dunce. Hold on.
If you could hear the first 10 minutes of every podcast before we the stuff we publish, you would have never agreed to do this.
Got your drink on?
I'm gonna drink it. Sunny D.
Your drink? Oh, yeah. That should
no.
go too.
That's Tang.
That's pretty much, yeah, space food.
Space, man. Look at my cool little box I bought.
Let's check it out. Holy. Gonna do some meetings. That's
Sacred items.
This is plumb sacred.
I know. I know. I didn't mean to start to show off with a flex. I apologize.
I hope you smudged that well.
I did.
In and out. What direction was you facing?
I was facing the direction of the rising sun. Yeah.
That's the thing though, like when you if your thing is to pray to the sun, you're not necessarily facing due east. It'll vary by the year.
By the year, time of year.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I call into question all this nonsense about the East. I call into question right now.
I mean I do too. That yeah. So remember the thing of setting the teepee up so the door faces the east.
Yeah.
But what time of the year? And when you set it up, how do you so I think that idea of the east, and I don't know, it gets stuck in a time. Somebody said something at one time, maybe it was written in a famous book or something.
Yeah, I definitely think that the facing the east thing for sure is like a part of kind of the general sense of a tribe's belief.
Yeah.
But according to the Crow, you can offer a prayer. I guess I like using the phrase wish making because like prayer is kind of like this kind of cadenced, like a certain type of verbiage where like a more traditional Crow person might make a wish to something. And but that could be a mountain, it could be a tree, it could be an anthill, it could be a storm, it could be the sun, it could be the moon, it could be the wind. So you would face whatever it is you're making your wish to.
Right. Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't turn your back to it. So making a wish to something inanimate for lack of a better word.
Emphasize the lack
thereof.
Fond du Lac.
I was telling my kid about. He wanted to write some words in cursive, so I was throwing some hard ones at him. So write geomorphology. So he'd write it. What does that mean? I tell him. He wanted another word, so I said, write anthropocentric.
Oh.
Said, what does that mean? He writes it. I said, well, just look it up. So he comes back. He says it means human-centered. Human-centered. He said, what's human-centered? I don't know. It's just anything that is and of about and for the purpose of humans, I guess. I don't know. He throws these hard ones at me where I have to answer to the very definition of things. But yeah. So this thing, yeah, you're talking about wishing. So what? Okay, let me go back. Step back. What's the difference between wishing and praying then? Because you said prayer is like a cadence or like a recitation. How do you say it? Recitation. Is that a word?
Recitation.
Recitation. Reciting.
Remember, recitations were popular country songs.
Well, I never
like recitation is like Luke the Drifter, Hank Williams. He would like just talk over like a
yeah. Anyway, so you're saying prayer is like a, what do you got there? You're holding up an old, that looks like an look at those buttons, man. Those are like when you go take that hearing test when you was in school, and they got those weird headphones they put on you that go right into your ear. Then they play the big old tape recorder. And they got the record button, this little red button right in the middle of the play button. Remember those?
Yep. Sketchy business there.
It is, yeah. You could easily fudge up and hit record when you intend to just press play. Anyway, so yeah, okay, tell me about this. So this is the question. If you told me this, what I would ask. Well, what's the difference besides the recitation? I still don't think that's a word. See, the fact that you can't say it puts into question your credibility
as a human.
As a human-centered endeavor.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
I gotta find you something first.
Okay.
Before I get too ahead of myself.
All right, don't get ahead of yourself. Because I think I know, but I'm just trying to peel it out of you for the listeners. The wish versus the prayer. This is important because it's going to build up to what we're talking about. Whoa, what you got there? Can't hear it well. No, it's not coming in well. You must got a noise cancel on your mic or something because it's blocking it out.
I found a Red Bull tape, like an old Powell Red Bull tape.
Really?
Yeah. But anyway, well, we could talk about this. I just wanted to show up my tape player.
Where did you get that? The basement of the Tim. Dentist, BIA from dentist.
Tim. Well, Tim, my buddy Tim has peyote tapes from like peyote meetings.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of them peyote guys and all them dudes, they have tape players because they want to listen to a lot of old peyote tapes.
Oh yeah.
So I found all these powwow tapes and recordings and
yeah.
And I said, hey, you got tape players? So he said, yeah. So like I got a Black Whistle tape.
Oh, like the studio one?
Yeah, 95.
Yeah. I got yeah, okay.
I mean, yeah, we gotta quit. Yeah.
Yeah, quit sidetracking.
Hey, we're getting sidetracked.
So I was gonna go off on it because I got a sack of tapes from my dad. All these old tapes. Not old as in 40s, 50s, 60s. These are like the powwow era. 70s and 80s. Yeah.
That's still some Chinnicky Lake.
Yeah.
All the lakes. Cathedral Lake.
Yeah. Back when Black Lodge the kids were just, in their pre-teen ages, that kind of music. Oh, it was really high, you know. Anyway, yeah, 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 yeah. Even higher.
Dude, I know. I can't even do it,
It
dude.
can't.
It's
I
like,
can't get up there no
whoa.
more. That's
It's
way
like,
up there.
whoa,
Yeah,
whoa, bro.
yeah.
So,
If you can sing
so
and
the
they sound
side,
like it's coming out of a phonograph, you're doing really good to
you're doing
reproduce
hot.
the 70s. You can even replicate like it where it slows down a bit. Yeah, that's the
Oh,
70s
look,
there.
this tape says Round Dance Night, April 5th, 2002.
April 5th, 2002.
That's 20 years old.
That didn't seem old,
I
but it
know.
is. Whoa, the writing on that tape makes it look pretty old. But when you say
I know.
2002, that feels, yeah, like a couple years ago. Anyway, get back to this question of mine now. Quit stalling.
All right, ask the question.
All right. Prayer versus a wish. Now you said prayer is this more of a formal or I don't quite get what you said anyway, but the wish is you're asking something, a physical thing of the earth, because it's important to understand this of the earth. Like you said, rock, a storm, a tree, the sun. Would the sun be part of that wish?
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay,
Yeah, you could.
good. All right. So then the
I
prayer
think
then.
anything.
Well, right. Yeah. I mean, you don't get a handbook that says,
The only thing I think that would be different is the pipe. So the pipe, you're not making wishes to the pipe. You're using the pipe for that. So it's like
yeah,
it's a beacon, you know.
right, right. It's the tool, one of
Telescope.
the tools.
It's the tool.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a tool. So okay, so before I start, I'm not an expert at any of this.
yeah.
I'm just kind of going off of what I see, what I don't want to say what I feel because that sounds cheesy because who the hell cares what I feel. But
Yeah.
so like so like a prayer to me has a certain form to it. Like there's
Okay.
a form to it. First of all, you acknowledge something, so
Yeah.
the creator of all things, right? Then you talk about how pitiful you are,
Okay.
and then how undeserving you are of something.
Yeah.
Then you say how thankful for you are for all these things like
Yeah.
food, shelter,
Yeah.
uh, maybe moisture in the air. I don't know. You know, if you're
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
farmer, probably like
Sure.
rain. Then and then you go and ask for that creator of all things
Yeah.
to just do its will.
Yeah.
And then you'll ask for protection of your family typically,
Yeah.
and then you'll end by the acknowledgement of that thing, whatever it is you're praying to, and then that's it. It seems to kind of be this
Yeah.
running standard. I'm not against that. Like everybody else, I was raised praying that way.
Right.
Where I have trouble with it is that um my prayer has no it's of no consequence to the creator for me to tell the creator to do its will.
Okay.
It's gonna do its will with or without my prayer.
Right. So
And
that is
we're just like, God, just do your will. We just pray to you today and we just ask you to just do your will. It's like, I mean, yeah.
Is that what they call placating? Is that the word? Placating.
Man, you're using some big ins tonight.
Well, I'm just curious. You hear it in these old ethnography or anthropological texts, you know, they're placating their gods with their offering of corn or something, placating their gods with the offering of flesh or something, you know.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like, you know, placating it to appease this will that's going to happen no matter what, in hopes to
yeah. So
steer
it's
it
like,
some way more favorable.
well, I don't even know if that prayer, that standard form of praying, even does that.
Okay.
I don't even know. It just seems like
Yeah.
so I go back and forth on the pitiful thing.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before
Yeah.
in private, where we kind of go and we do this like, I'm pitiful,
Yeah.
I'm nothing without you. And then sometimes I think like I can imagine God or the creator saying, well, I didn't make you that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But here we're kind of thinking like, we have this thought of like us having to be pitiful in order to talk to the creator. So that's why I feel like this idea of intercessors are not even intercessors, because intercessor implies that this object or this weather phenomenon is
Yeah.
a messenger. It's a messenger to God, when that's not. If you really go back to a lot of, especially in our region here, a
Yeah.
lot of the beliefs of our people, they're not messengers. They actually possess the power we're seeking.
Right. Right. Right.
Would I be correct in thinking that?
No, I think you're right.
Yeah.
You are correct. I know I'm going to take the think you're right out of it and say you're correct.
Okay. All right. So one time I heard this person say, talking about something, I think like a medicine bundle or the sun or something. And so we don't pray to the sun, we pray through the sun or through the bundle. And I used to kind of like subscribe to that way of thinking until I started actually going around these things more, and I realized, no, they ask that thing for something. Like the sun, they'll look right at the sun and ask the sun for something.
Yeah.
They don't, it's not like, hey, sun, can you go tell God?
Yeah.
It's, it's no.
Yeah.
They'll ask the sun for whatever this is, or
Yeah. Yeah.
or a bird or a buffalo or
Yeah.
something, like that. Um, so when you really think about, we'll just generically use the term prayer for tribal people. The wish idea,
Yeah,
is more specific.
Okay. Well, let me go back to this before you get to the wish. Let me talk about this prayer thing and what you said was
Yep. Do it. Do it.
So this is the form. And you're right, you hear this a lot. You hear, I mean, it's familiar. Mm-hmm. Acknowledge it. So you acknowledge the thing that you're praying to. That's what you said. Tell it, tell it you're pitiful. Tell it you're thankful for what you've had gotten so far. Then the ask, but now I want, or can I have these things, whatever. Not can I have. Then you say thank you or whatever. But the pitiful part, now this is, let me ask you this part about being pitiful. So to get into a state of being pitiful would be one way of achieving your desired wish. Agree, disagree. So I'm thinking about fasting, right? So you get into a state where you're pretty low. You get yourself really low.
So I go back and forth on this too, because I feel like this is also misrepresented.
Yeah.
This way of thinking that they'll say we fast so we become pitiful, and that these spirits or God will take pity on us.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll openly say that I believe that.
Yeah.
But I've questioned it several times, only because I've heard old stories about these kinds of things. And what it is, to me, is more like payment for something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the result is the same. But if I'm going to go and sit and fast and ask that mountain for something, I'm going to look right at that big mountain and I'm going to say, you're strong. I want my wishes for me to be like you or something. And in order for me to get what I'm asking of you, I'm going to pay for it by suffering here, or I'm going to pay for it by cutting the tip of my finger off, or I'm going to pay for it by cutting my arm.
Yeah.
But that payment can happen in other ways too. A payment can simply just be if you do give me my wish, I'll come back here next year and sit 4 days.
Right.
Or you might say, if if that happens, I'll feed my community, and you might
Mm.
have meat, good meat, and
Yeah.
you'll have a big feed to as payment for what it is you're asking for.
Yeah.
Now we're speaking real general,
Yeah.
like in a real general sense, but I think that's very different than somebody suffering till God takes pity on you. And the only reason I've kind of changed my mind on some of this is I was visiting with this guy a few years ago, and he said that one time a relative of his came to him and asked him to pray, and he said, "Okay, I'll go and fast and pray for you guys and your sick relative." He says, "I went there thinking I'm going to pray until that person's good, so I'm going to
Yeah.
suffer for that person."
Yeah.
And he said, "I realize now I had done it wrong." He told me, he said, "What I should have said to them was, okay, I'll make a wish right now." He didn't say to the son, he just kind of said, "I'll make a wish to something. And I'll say, if so and so is healthy by the spring, then I'll go and fast 4 days." Because he said,
Yeah.
what if they never got healthy, and I would have
Yeah.
sat out there and I would have had to go back every year until they were healthy.
Yeah. I remember you telling that story a
Yeah.
couple
So it
episodes back.
kind of the use, and this is real detailed, so like people have to really pay attention to their ceremonies, or even the way people speak,
Yeah.
because like that you're not going to notice, because on the outset it looks cultural, it's all on par for your culture, but you have to really step back and notice, like, the vow they're making, that has a lot to do with that person's level of traditionalism.
Right.
So like he
Right.
might
Right.
say, "I'm going to go up there and I'm going to pray to God." It's like, okay, you can do that,
Yeah.
but um what exactly are you asking for? That might determine what you want to pray to, the thing you want to ask for.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So a good
Mm-hmm.
example is those old warriors. They used to like medicines for war, power, spiritual power. So some of them like to ask wishes of storms.
Yeah.
So they would have the power of the storm to make bad weather. So like when they were escaping the enemy, they could make it storm, or like that kind of thing. So you got to
Yeah.
know what you're asking for in order to use those elements of creation and the power that those elements have.
Right.
And
Right.
it is also the belief that you can piggyback off of somebody else's power. So like say you go and fast, you receive a medicine, and I know you have this particular medicine, so then I would go to you and say, "Hey, this is going on with me right now. I want to have a meal, feed your medicine, and ask good things from your medicine." And you say, "Okay, we'll do that on the next whatever your protocols are for
Right.
that particular thing." Because I might look at you and say, "Man, this guy he dresses good. He looks good. His horses are healthy.
Yeah.
His kids look good. They're healthy. His wife has a good home.
Yeah.
Those are the things I'm looking for. So whatever he has, I want some of that. So I'm going to go to him and tell him I'm going to give him some gifts, and then he might open his medicine for me, and then I can make wishes for that."
Mm.
That's real specific.
Right.
Some might even argue that I'm sharing too much, but it all goes back to this. I'm not saying specifics anyway about people's things, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that's very different. That's a very different outlook of a religion and how a religion is used versus this kind of generic pseudo Christian approach to our own beliefs. And I would even say that most traditionalists now have adopted the cadence and the rhythm and the verbiage of the Christian church, even if they're not Christian people.
Right.
And I'm actually getting to the point in my life where I don't even care if someone's Christian. It's I could think they could ask good things for me, and that will
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
So I would that's never stopped me from going to someone I know is a devout Christian. We know our good buddy Kenny Pretty on top.
Yeah.
Um, nobody will deny that he's a believer and he
Yeah.
prays hard. So I would definitely go to him and say, "Hey, I got this going on. I want you to pray for me."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's not a matter of being like a hater on somebody else's religion. It's just
Yeah.
being pro crow or whatever that person is.
Hmm.
So so that that's that idea of prayer and this and asking for good things or asking for something. So prayer versus wish making to me is very different.
Yeah.
And actually the wish making concept, even if other tribes don't use that phrasing, like
Yeah.
wish making,
Yeah.
that's what they're doing, especially in our area, our region. Would you say that's the case?
I think so. You kind of went off there. I didn't want to stop you because you're on a roll,
Oh,
man. You went off.
sorry.
No, I mean,
Sorry.
no, that's good. So I just want to clarify. I'm gonna step way back.
Okay.
Stepping way
Sorry.
back. Okay.
Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, you should be sorry. Okay. We're talking about being pitiful, and I said,
Mhm.
yeah. So some people think that lowering yourself to a state of pitifulness will get you rewarded. But I think you're right in a lot of ways where it's not necessarily. I mean, it looks like someone might be doing that. They're just going to get all raggedy and pitiful. But I think that's a different thing. That's like part of mourning while you're letting yourself kind of go because you're sad. But this other thing we were talking about fasting, whatever these things are, these things that you have to do, they're more of, like you said, they're more sacrifices. Like you're making payment to receive something. And that happens in many forms, as you mentioned, in many different ways. And you have to be careful on how somebody is going to help you in that manner because their commitment to helping you and sacrificing could be, I guess, the wording of it has to be, you have to choose very carefully. So then the wish, so now that was all kind of part of the prayer, right? Praying, but we're saying it might come from this, adopted from this way of praying that comes from some other religion, whatever. So now the wish, wait, okay, let me step back. So the prayer then, because some people might wonder, so well, what are you praying to under that circumstance? Is that a god? Someone might say. I'm thinking of like some non-indigenous, non-Indian folks saying, well, what are you praying to under those circumstances? What is the creator? Or what is this thing where you employ this manner of praying? Now we're not talking about wishing. We already said that might be something different. But if you're talking about prayer, who or what is that? Because I know in the old way, in our kind of some of the Salish beliefs, it was mostly praying to the sun. That was the thing. But there was this other thing too, the person who sits on top of the mountain. That was another thing. But I don't know if that came in at some other time in in the early history. But the principal thing of prayer was to the sun.
I still argue if it's even prayer though.
Right.
We were using that term prayer,
Yeah.
but I think petitions or wish making is probably a better verbiage, only because
Yeah.
it's a hard sell because we've bought into this
Yeah.
idea of the word of prayer, and I
Yeah.
get it, and I use the word, but I would argue that what the Salish were doing was not praying; it was more leaning on that idea of making a petition
Yeah.
or spiritual reciprocity in trade for something. I'm asking for this, I'm going to give you this.
Yeah.
um, and I would assume that although the sun, yeah, is probably seen as the supreme energy source and being, I would also make the argument that the Salish were as well looking at different elements, whether they're medicine objects or certain landscapes
Yeah.
or spiritual
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
beings, and making wishes to those things or praying to those things for. Again, I think it depends on the reason.
That's right. And I think that's what I'm getting to, because you're right. It wasn't there wasn't just one mode of asking for something. That'd be kind of that restricting. It'd be restricting. if you just had one pathway to receiving some power, like you said, there was many needs in those times, so you needed many attributes to help you with those things. Like you said, for war, yeah, you want to be able to call in a storm. So what's going to give you that? Well, the thing that's manifesting that storm, which is thunderclouds or what have you, you know. So you're right. I mean, yeah, that's I think that's pretty common. Though the thinking and the thoughts of your people were very similar to the thinking and the thoughts of ours. But we get hung up on this thing, and I think they're one and the same. The prayer and the wish, I think they're one and the same. Because if you think about it, like think about all the things that you've ever prayed for. They're all wishes, right? You're wishing for something. Like you're praying for someone to feel well. I pray for me to feel well. I pray for this guy's kid to be well. I pray for him to keep his job, or them to, have a good house. They're all wishes. They're all just wishes of something that manifests here on the earth. That's what it is. So for me, I don't see a big difference between like just the term in the English prayer and a wish. I think they're kind of one and the same. But I think the manner, the pathway to that idea that you're talking about, the prayer, is this kind of what's conscripted? Is that something? Conscripted?
I don't know, man, dude. You're dropping heavy ones on.
No, you say that a lot. So I figured you'd know. Conscripted.
I've never said that.
You've said
constructed. I've never said conscripted in my life.
You have. I'm gonna go back.
I would say you're right. Like when tribal people, traditionalists, they're talking, when they say, "Oh, we're gonna pray for this," I think they're saying the word prayer, but what they're really doing is this other thing.
Yeah,
it's speaking. Now, if you were to go to like a Catholic church and they say we're gonna pray for something, that actually is like a ceremonial act of like, there's the Hail Mary, the Apostles' Creed. There's actual like these standardized things you do, which formalized. Also in a weird way is like a form of spiritual reciprocity. So you do something wrong in the Catholic Church, they tell you go do 15 Hail Marys. That's still like a penance to something.
Yeah,
you're paying something because of something. Now, the Christian church and the identity of the culture, it's surrounded by sin. So, which is very different than like a native belief. The concept of sin is not in there, not in the same manner for sure. So, the center of Christendom is this idea that it's all revolving around sin and then ridding yourself of sin.
Yeah.
So it's coming from a very different thing. So that's why all the pitiful talk comes in, because the idea of prayer in the Christian church is based on you being bad at whatever it is you're doing.
As far as we know.
As far as we know, like, I mean, the idea is that, the first foundational story in the Bible is someone messing up.
Yeah.
And so from that moment on, there was always this catch-up game, playing catch-up with the Creator.
Yeah.
Like, how can I right myself in the eyes of the Creator? So there's all these things you do. So there's like Moses with the 10 Commandments and this idea that like, here, follow these laws and then you'll be right with me. Well, then they couldn't do that. They couldn't do that right. So then this idea of like Jesus coming in and paying the ultimate price for the idea of sin.
Yeah.
So the religion is based around wrongdoing.
Yeah.
And missing the mark.
Yeah.
So I think when somebody thinks in the church thinks of prayer, their foundation is based around this idea that we've messed up. And so I'm going to ask for something, but how do I ask for something when I'm already in the wrong? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we had to get someone who's really versed in this, because we might be way off. I don't know. You was raised that way.
I was raised in it. I was raised that way. Yeah.
Okay.
And
so your firsthand experience.
Yeah, I think like a lot of Crow families, you like teetered on this. You teetered on this, like, you're over here one time and you're over here the other time. But
Right.
for the most part, it was very common for Crow families in my
Yeah.
upbringing to be like to go to church, and after church the sweat's ready. So then you go to
Yeah.
sleep.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so common.
Yeah.
And actually I would even say it was probably pretty common at Flathead too.
Yeah.
This where there was some of that.
You're right. You're
So
right.
when a tribal person, and we'll stick to our region,
Yeah.
approaches or goes before a powerful source of energy to seek something from it,
Yeah.
it's not coming to it with that mindset,
Yeah.
right?
I explain what you mean.
Sin.
Oh, okay. Guys, sound like you're yelling at me. Sound like it's a sermon.
I'm fucking listen to me.
Like I'm in a sermon here.
Well, dude.
No, I get it.
I'll honestly say that this conversation we're having is probably at the forefront of any person who's seeking. I don't know how to say that. Like, Native people struggle with identity, and this is this right here is the topic.
Yeah,
coping with this very thing.
Yeah,
that we're talking about. So maybe it's good. Maybe somebody's listening to this going, man, should I have these questions too? Because I think we're taught that we can't even have these questions.
Right. We are. And yeah. So I'm reflecting back.
I would even say it was making you uncomfortable. And you have no allegiances to the church.
Well, yeah. It makes me uncomfortable, number one, because I feel like I don't know. I'm not an authority of Catholic or Christian matters. So I feel gun shy to even talk about it.
But who is?
yeah, but who is? And then take from your own personal experience. Just like you, I was raised in my mom did her best to raise us traditionally in the 70s and 80s, which if anybody knows how it was in the 70s and 80s and on the res, that's we're still influenced by that Catholicism, but it's been integrated into a lot of things, so we don't recognize it, we don't see it. It's just the way it is. Yeah, so my mom would always be super against the church, and then the next month we'd be going to the church, and I couldn't figure out why. She was so, as she would say, I'm brainwashed. I have to go here. Well, but it wasn't often.
It's contradictory. It's a social hub.
Well, yeah.
The church became kind of the cultural centerpiece of a community. So
yeah.
In that Flathead, even more so because your tribe, unlike a lot of tribes, sought it out. So I think they didn't have to cope with the justification part, the intruder. I actually think that came way later.
Yeah,
it's like, are you guys gonna leave now?
Yeah.
So I think that part of it might be a little bit different, but well, I mean, just so we don't get too far in the weeds, you're right. You are right. We're not experts, but I wouldn't say we're experts at even native stuff either.
Right. Yeah. We're behind.
I mean, the whole point of this podcast is to just ask these questions because we're all thinking them anyway.
Right. So this is what's on my mind now. So I'm thinking of, and maybe you've been putting this position before, but you can envision this. Envision this. So a
Yeah.
bunch of natives gather. I mean, even it doesn't have to be a bunch of natives, but you're at some function and you see somebody get asked, or somebody gets asked, "Oh, can you pray? Can you pray for to start us off?" And it's always the same. Start us off
in a good way.
in a good way. and so so this is the thing. So if you think back at that time and you think, well, what do people usually say? And this is where when I get, well, I think about it. So if somebody gets up and they're gonna say, recite whatever, and they say, I'm gonna pray for, I'll pray for the food so we have good food or whatever. And I always think, well, why do we even say the word pray when we're praying for something? You know what I mean? Like, what does that word even mean? I'm gonna pray for the food. But what does that mean?
That's an odd concept too.
Yeah, but when it's a wish, if you think about, so this is for someone, like a little index card to write down for, if you get asked to pray, write these 4 steps down. Well, I don't know if they're 4. Let's come up with 4 steps. Number 1, just say, no, I'm not old enough. Jokes now. Try to pass it off to somebody. That's usually, yeah, I'm not old enough. That's kind of weak. That's weak.
But I pass it off all the time.
You do?
In fact, if any federal agency is listening right now, I'm going to say no.
Okay. Number 1, say no. But why? Why? Yeah, let's get into this. Why would you say no?
Because I don't buy it. I don't believe in it.
You don't believe in prayer? But you're a Native American.
That's not what I said.
Whoa. Heated. He got heated. Well, correct me then.
I gotta open my smudge box. Gotta open up my smudge box right now.
Yeah. So I know what you mean, though. So we're talking about appropriateness, or yeah. When is it appropriate to begin something with a prayer, for lack of a better word, because we kind of got confused on that a little bit. Well, I don't know. I think we know what it is, but it's the word I don't get. Confused. Well, I don't get it because I don't. What's the action? The word is an action. I'm gonna pray for. Is that an action word? See, I'm limited English. I don't know. I'm limited English. Okay, what does pray really mean? Is it an action word?
I'm looking it up.
Okay, it's not like run. Like I'm gonna run. You know what you're gonna do then? You expect. Okay, I'm gonna run to the table. You know what's gonna happen.
Okay, so under the Catholic Church, it says there's 4 types of prayer.
Really? Okay.
The prayer number 1, prayer of a blessing, prayer of blessing.
Prayer of blessing. Okay.
Yep. Then number 2 is a prayer of repentance.
Okay.
And then there's a prayer of thanksgiving. And then there's a prayer of supplication, or petition, or intercessors. That's what it says. The four types of prayer in the Catholic Church.
Okay. Okay. Whew. That's all right. Okay, we're getting somewhere now. What?
Okay. Right here. Let's look at this. How does Jesus define prayer? Jesus says that prayer should be a private time between God and the worshiper. Jesus does not mean that this is wrong to pray with others, but the prayer should be sincere for the right motives. You ever notice that the Christian church, like the belief is very like based on feeling, like my feelings, where I think with tribal people, a lot of it is based on action, reaction.
Yeah.
So like what I do yields a certain result. I'm going to keep doing that if that result is beneficial to me and my family or whatever. Where in the church, it seems like it's based on like this, the ether. It's kind of like, if it's God's will, this will happen. or it's like I feel this is my truth, like that kind of thing. Where
Yeah.
I think in like a ceremony, like a
Yeah.
crow ceremony, like a wrong movement is a wrong movement, regardless of how you look at it.
Right.
So if you do something wrong, they're not like, well, did you feel like you did something wrong?
It's pretty clear.
Yeah, you did. You
It's
weren't
not
supposed
up
to
to
do that. You
you.
did that. Now, does that mean that that's life or death? I don't know. I don't know that. I'm not the leader of those things, so you'd
Oh
have to
man.
ask them.
We're all mixed up
So
here.
we are mixed up. We're getting
Mixed up.
offhand here. So anyway,
Well, wait a minute.
where
I
are
want
where
to go
are
back. I
we?
want to go back. I want to go back to the instance of, because this is important. Um, praying. I can't get over this word. I can't get over it. You messed me
Yeah.
up because I've been thinking about this because I think about young people, young people, especially like my kids. They say, "Well, just go pray about it." You tell them that, but they don't know, they don't get it. Well, how do I do that? Then you tell them what exactly to do, and it's the wish, right?
It's
just
the
go
wish, man.
go rub on
Go
that
to
tree
that.
and yeah, ask
Ask
it
for
for something.
something.
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
word pray, I don't in the English language, I just don't get it. And because people use it. I pray for all this food, but what does that mean? What are you doing? What are you doing? What's the action? What's the action? I'm gonna pray for you. I say that. I'll say that to people. I'll pray for you, but you don't really tell them exactly what you're gonna do. But do you have to? I'm mixed up, man. I'm all mixed up here. God dang it. Okay.
So I've heard people say this, like this
Yeah.
is even better. And
Yeah.
any young listener, I would encourage this. If you know somebody owns a sweat or they like to go to the sweat lodge all the time, instead of saying, "Hey, will you pray for me?" Just say, "Hey, next time you go into the sweat, will you ask for good things for me?" Say
Yeah.
that. Say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You use that if you're like, hey, if you know someone's going to go into the Sundance, which is a
Yeah.
very serious thing, it's a big undertaking.
Yeah.
Maybe bring a pack of cigarettes to them and say, hey, I know you're going into that lodge. That's a holy place. I want you to ask for good things for me and my family.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
That's
better than just
clear.
say, that's real clear.
It's real
Yeah.
clear.
So,
Or my mom's legs hurt.
yep.
Ask for them to feel better.
Yep.
Or
She's been
so and so.
suffering with this pain.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Yeah.
we don't want her to have that pain anymore. Be
Yeah.
specific about what you're asking for.
Yeah.
Because they used to always say, don't pray for rain and then get mad when it floods.
Yeah.
You know,
Be
don't be
specific.
afraid. Don't be afraid to say, I want 3 inches of rain. You know what I mean? Like, don't
Yeah.
say, we need 1 inch of precipitation. That's what
Yeah.
I'm going to ask for.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's important. I really
Yeah.
do think that's important. Now, fuck, does that mean I'm doing that? I don't know. I'm not saying that we're or that I'm the example of how this should be because I don't know, man. I'm like anybody else, just trying to figure this all out for myself.
Yeah. No, I can relate to that because I think of a lot of instances where I'll revert to the word pray. I'll go pray for this, pray for that, but I'm not. It's been bothering me in the past like 10 years about, well, what does that really mean? What do I really mean? I do know because when you go do that thing, the series of things that you're asking for, why you said that you're going to pray for somebody. You usually say that to somebody because they're having a hardship. So you're gonna ask for something good for them. But we use this word pray for some reason. And it gets tangled up in this thing you talked about, this form that we generally hear and follow, but that doesn't matter how pitiful we are. We can still ask for things. We don't have to be in a pitiful state, I guess. So
No, you don't.
so
You
the
don't
prayer,
have to be pitiful.
so the prayer before, and this happens a lot. This happens a lot. I haven't seen it much here in where I'm at now. In fact, it's very rare. But back home, it was you always got to start the meeting with the prayer and in a good way. And
Yeah, Shandin Pete, can you come up here? We'd like to ask for you to do the blessing. So we start our meeting off in a good way.
yeah, yeah, as if it was going south, and what you're gonna say is gonna kind of straighten everything out. There's already bad blood, man. It's gonna be bad no matter what. So anyway, that's something. That's something. I don't know. I mean, it's good. It's good to be a prayerful person. It's good to be, I guess, have that thought and that mentality in all things we do, I suppose. But I guess you can kind of run out of things, Like in one day's time, you could probably think of a lot of things that you really would want to wish for. Then what?
I don't know, dude. Okay, so let's start over.
Okay,
So
reset.
the whole reason I called you today and I said, hey, I want to have a podcast is because, dude, when I go to these meetings, at the
Yeah.
beginning of the meetings, we'll blow 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes, and in some cases 40 minutes on the opening prayer. So we start
Wow.
the meeting off in a good way. And what I'm noticing, and I don't know if I'm a cynic or if I'm a fucking hater or what, but it does the exact opposite. It does not start the meeting off in a good way.
People get mad.
Fucking people get mad, dude, and
Yeah.
they're like, oh man, now we need a break. Need a break after the prayer? Like,
If you need a break after the prayer, you probably did. You probably went wrong somewhere.
and so this idea has been adopted by a lot of federal agencies, state agencies, academic institutions, where
Yeah.
they'll say, when it's an Indian thing, they'll say, well, let's start the meeting off in a good way. Meanwhile, when you go home
Yeah.
and you have a sit down with your kids, or even at work, even when you're working with tribal people,
Yeah.
and it's just, you don't have a prayer. You don't pray before
You just
the
eat.
meeting. You just eat.
You just
Now,
talk.
you just talk, man. Like
Yeah.
you just visit, and so I've been struggling with this because I have recently heard that the California tribes, as far as preservation work, they don't do it. They don't pray before meetings
Yeah.
or before consultations in there.
Yeah.
And then so we set it up pretty good. So we talked about wish making and prayer and all that stuff. So the lady asked me today, actually, a BLM uh, um, archaeologist. We were talking, and I had brought it up that she was just asking kind of generally, like, was there anything? What are your thoughts on the meetings? These kinds of
Yeah.
things. Former BLM archaeologist, and
Yeah.
I said, one of the things is all us tribes, we vary, so from tribe to tribe, we're gonna have different customs. Now I said,
Yeah.
just speaking for the way I understand my own beliefs, and then the idea of wish making. When
Yeah.
somebody gets up and prays for the meeting to go good, they're making a wish that this meeting's gonna go good, that we're all
Yeah.
gonna get along, and that these things that we're gonna talk about today, that we leave here in a good way. Now, I feel obligated to meet that prayer halfway. So I may have
Yeah.
had all these notes from reading the prep documents
Yeah.
saying this is, I'm going to trash this, and trash this, because that's my job as a representative of tribe and cultural
Yeah.
resources. My job is to provide comment and to say, hey, we don't like this, we want to advocate for this. So
Yeah.
now I feel hindered. Like I can't say those things because those things might be taken confrontational, because that's the nature of consultation. Like
Right.
things are going to be uncomfortable sometimes, but
Yeah.
that's how we work through things.
Yeah.
Now, my issue is that, why do we feel like it's necessary to do these long prayers before these meetings that might
Yeah.
actually have an effect on how the consultation might go, or the
Mm.
whatever we're doing might go?
Yeah.
And when I talk to tribal people, traditionalists,
Yeah.
I say, well, before you do this, do you guys do this at home? And they'll say, no, we don't do it. So they all unanimously agree they
Yeah.
don't do that at home. But
Yeah.
now, why are they like almost like chomping at the bit to do it there. So I can't help but think, and again, I'm a cynic.
Yep.
There's some showmanship to it.
Yep. That's what I'm gonna say. It's performative.
It's performative.
It's
So
just performance.
okay.
And that negates the whole purpose of what I don't get about, I mean, the word, what we're talking about. I want to say wish making, or it sounds weird, but I'm feeling uncomfortable saying prayer now because I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, I get it, but I'm questioning it. Yeah, that's
Well,
performance. It's performance because you're around a bunch of Indians and a bunch of non-Indians, and you got to do this little show. I don't know, man, but I don't know because you can't. Okay, yeah, you can't dog on somebody for trying to do something good like that. I don't know, but can you? I get the position you're in.
And
Yeah.
the thing is I would never say to that person they're not sincere, because prayer is prayer. Like, I
Yeah.
believe in prayer,
Yeah.
and I know it's good. All I'm saying is that I don't feel comfortable necessarily contradicting what's being asked for.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
it's the necessity of that performance, that praying thing before these meetings that are of for I don't know, they're, what are they? I mean, are they likened to ceremony in nature? Not really, I don't think, right? They're just working meetings, right? It's just talking about,
we're talking about projects that we might be advocating for cultural resources. We might be arguing about methodology. We might be commenting on all various subjects with natural resources. It's really it's a regulatory meeting.
Yeah.
So sometimes I feel like the prayer is like, again, I can't help but think, but it seems a bit showmanshipy, and I'm like, man, dude, am I really gonna be that guy that feels that way? And then I'm the bad guy. Because we've just been doing this for so long,
Yeah. You know what that does? That works against kind of what we do as Native people too, It puts a stereotype out there. So all non-Native folks seeing that and they're thinking that this is the way. The all prayerful Native, they pray for everything. They pray during everything. When that gets me is when people have to stand.
Oh, okay. So that's another thing. The lady, I said that. I said, I've never been in a crow ceremony where they said when they started praying, everyone stood up.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it in church a lot. I've seen it in church a lot, but yeah.
That's another thing. Everybody got to stand.
And
listen to somebody pray for 40 minutes. That's why everybody needs a break. Their legs are tired.
So if you were ever in a position where somebody said, and you have been there, I know you have, where they'll say, Shandin, we want you to pray for the beginning of the meeting, so we started off in a good way.
Yeah.
What would you do then at that point? Tell me, how would you approach this situation? Because maybe you're in a position where a respected person asked you.
Yeah.
So then you feel like, okay, I need to, because it was a respected individual that asked me to do this.
Yeah.
And what would you do?
Well, I think I remember the instances where that has happened, and generally I'll give a little, I'll preface it with a short history lesson of some sort on how my way is intersected with some other cultural way. Just very brief, just say, okay, yeah, this is from what I know, this is how our people were interacting with your people in that sort of way. And then usually I'll just revert to not spoken word. I'll revert to a song of some sort and describe it briefly, and that's my go-to, because I'm not I guess I'm not necessarily it's my hang up on the word prayer. I don't know don't exactly know where I would go with what I would say.
Are you okay, man? Like,
I'm not okay. I think I'm thinking too deeply about it. I probably just think myself out of everything. But no, I don't
you're like,
I'm not prepared to
I'm broke.
I'm
You're
not
broke.
prepared to meaningfully verbally say the things that I think would be appropriate for that situation. It's just too new, like especially if it just sprung in. Hey, can you say the prayer? Okay, no, I guess. But if it's at home, and it's for a meal, that's easy. Because then I just go right to what I know of Catholic ways. I'll just say the food prayer, the Catholic food prayer. It's easy. Because everybody knows it and they'll say it along with you.
Yeah.
But if I'm in unknown territory, I'll try to sing something that might be meaningful for that
Dude,
situation.
you're broke. You're broke.
I'm broke, spiritually broke.
We broke you. This
What-
topic broke you, dude. This is the most uncomfortable I've ever heard you. Like,
it's an odd one because you're accustomed to prayer and wishing in certain instances, right?
yes.
In these ceremonial contexts. That's where you're at. And when you're taken out of that and you're asked to do something that seems like it has to be for that, yeah, I get a bit uncomfortable. It doesn't, like, there's a mismatch. It's not the right audience. It's not of the right things prior to, leading up to it. Yeah, it's awkward. So that's how I've handled it before. I'll just revert to something that I'm really familiar with and that it would be meaningful for the situation.
But
Well, what about you?
I say no.
Okay. Yeah.
I do. I
Yeah.
say no. I said no.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to do that. I think that,
Yeah.
in fact, when this lady asked me, she said, how would you envision it? I said, okay, here's what I thought this was pretty clever, but
Yeah.
you might think I'm an idiot, but
Okay, let's hear it.
which has happened before. I said, you're not going to shake the prayer thing. You're not going to, it's so ingrained in that
Yeah.
arena that we're not going to shake it. So what I said was the facilitator of the meeting would get up, stand up, or sit there, however they want to do it, but hold court. And their job is to proclaim
Right.
the reason for the meeting and why the meeting was called.
Yeah.
This is why we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And then you would say, at the end of the meeting, I'm going to ask my friend so and so to pray for us at the end of the meeting, that the things that we share here today, that we'll learn from it. So at the end of the meeting, I'm going to ask so and so to do that for us.
Yeah.
And then you start the meeting.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
That seems more it seems more fitting in that instance, And then if those people can just leave if they don't want to be part of it. Because it's at the end. It's at the end.
Dude, because I'm like trying to be late for meetings.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be a part. Like, it's so awkward, and it's just like, oh, and we're gonna talk about like wind turbines, and it's like, I was just about to trash their design, and now I got to go in there with a good heart, in a good way, and it's like, oh, I feel obligated now to be real nice to this guy.
It's like you only bead when you have a good heart, good feelings. Nobody ever get any beading done.
Oh, I know. So another thing,
Anyway,
one time my grandma told
Yeah.
me that her grandma, she would get all her ingredients together to cook dinner for these kids, her
Yeah.
kids. She was an old lady, This is way back in the 30s and 40s, so that lady was old then.
Yeah.
She would get all the ingredients together, and then before she cooked, she would make a wish for the food. She'd say, I'm going to put you together for these things for my kids.
Yeah.
And that while I'm doing this, that something good will go into it, and it'll bring nourishment to these young kids or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And then when she was done cooking, she'd tell them, come and eat.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, she like placed something into that food now.
Yeah.
She said, while it was being created.
Yeah.
Not like cook it, do everything, and then just say, well, I hope God hooks you up with something. But also like maybe we just don't even know what we're talking about. And like I don't know how I don't know. Do you think God really worries about your spaghetti? Like I don't know, man. Like I struggle. I struggle.
Yeah, that's why the more concrete thing you started with, that makes more sense to me, in a way. I mean, not fully, but I mean, no, that makes sense. The praying part about the higher being, a God creator, those kind of things. Yeah, that's something. But the earthly things, that makes a lot of sense. To pray and ask things from something that is living on the earth. And there's instances of that in the past. You see that quite a bit. Someone telling their kid to go rub on a tree, and pray for themselves to be strong and their bones to be strong. Those kind of things.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
shooting an arrow at a rock, and asking the rock to help them in their hunting or their wars. And the medicine trees, making wishes in these trees. Getting song, you get visions and songs about water, springs,
What
or
about
certain
what about
locations.
what about this? What if you're like this is real hypothetical.
Yeah.
What if you're a spelunker? You know what a spelunker is?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Cave diving
Oh
folk.
sure. I just watched a
So
documentary.
oh neat. So you're quite astute. Quite
Yeah,
astute.
you ask me about belaying or
Yeah.
no,
Oh,
no, I don't know. Anyway,
so
go ahead. Yeah,
so we as tribal people most of the time don't really believe that we belong to that. Like we're not we don't live there. We may have came from there in some beliefs. Some tribes say we came from the ground, now we're on top of the ground or
yeah,
whatever. So but the idea is like that's almost like another realm, right?
yeah,
Would you agree or
yeah.
disagree?
Agree.
So what if I'm a spelunker and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go into the ground.
Yeah,
Then I go outside and I see some prairie dogs. Okay.
yeah,
And I look at the prairie dogs. Well, where do they live?
yeah. They live in the ground.
Live in the ground. So what if I go over to that prairie dog and I
Yeah,
take a piece of my cookie out and I put it on the ground and I say, I'm gonna go into the ground like you live in the ground.
yeah,
I'm gonna ask you to watch me while I go in there, and that the things that I do in there will mimic you
uh,
because you're from there. And
yeah.
then you might go, do you think that's more tribal?
Oh yeah.
That seemed pretty tribal, didn't
That
it?
does. Yeah, that's right in line. Yeah,
That's right
seems
in
to
line.
be. It's concrete.
Yes, it's
It's
concrete.
it's practical. I can grasp it.
I can,
Yeah,
even if it's
yeah,
not like your direct tribe's belief,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
based on your concepts of your tribe, that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. So
That
this is
makes
what I think
okay.
about all these things we're talking about, and and I've described this before to um in a different way. But oh yeah, so there's a I believe there's a higher power, right? There's this higher power. We don't know what it is. You see it in like an old trying to think of those I can't even think of, but they call it the great mystery, the mystery, the great spirit. That's, I think, where this whole idea of the great spirit, this mystery thing, we don't know what it is.
We
I
don't
think
even know.
we don't know. I think that's something. But for us to receive anything, any gift from that, we can't go right to that thing. It has to be an intermediary, such as earthly things that I've talked about. That's what this whole fasting vision. You're trying to get a sumesh. You're trying to get a power, but it's an earthly thing. It's not nothing. It's not a mystery. It's something that we're familiar with. I think that is like the intermediary between the power that's out there is these earthly things. That's kind of the belief. So to pray to those things, to wish to those things, to pray in that manner that you talk about. I'm going to do this thing, so I'm going to pray to that thing that's like that. That's so familiar. Just the way you condition your children, when they're born. You condition them by introducing a part of that animal that you want them to be like. I don't know if that crows do that, but that's kind of an old Salish tradition, and like in some instances they'll mix ants with clay and they'll rub it on their babies at a certain age because they want their kids to be hard workers, or a certain animal, they want them to be quick, so they'll rub the heart of that animal with some clay onto that kid because they want them to be like that. That's kind of that same manner of wishing, well wishing, like you described.
Yeah, we might not do that specific thing, but that makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
what you just said makes complete sense to me. So I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Like my grandpa used to say, them old warriors would train their kids to go catch beavers, and they would catch beavers. They'd take the tail of the beaver and they'd rub it on their chest, and they'd say, "I want to be able to swim like this beaver,"
Yeah.
Or I had one time heard this story about the early reservation era. I don't know who the individuals were, but it made sense to me. But I haven't even thought about it till just today. But this guy wanted to build his family a home, so he went to one of his clan relatives and said, "I want you guys to make good wishes for me. I want to build my wife and kids a home."
Yeah.
And they told him, they said, "Go down to the river where you see them beaver dams.
Yeah.
And ask those beavers to guide you in building a home."
Yeah.
Now it makes sense to me, even just talking like this. It's because those beavers built the home.
Yeah.
They're
Why
good
not?
at it. Why not?
Why not?
That makes total sense. It's like, oh, that guy's medicine was the beaver. That's just my first instinct was like, oh, his medicine was the beaver. And it's like, well, no, literally he's talking about building a home.
Yeah. Yeah.
That beaver has what you're looking for. Go ask it how it did it.
Yep.
Duh.
It's not that mysterious once you start taking it apart, but
it's really not.
It's not. We complicated a lot of matters, not of our own doing, I think, and people looking outside in, it probably even imagine how mysterious and backward it might seem, but maybe not. I don't know. I think all humans are pretty practical in that matter, but it's just these, I hate to say, but religious, I don't know. I don't even want to say it. I don't want to say it. It's different. This is different. Anyway, we've been at it. We've been at it for an hour and a half.
Let's quit then.
Okay. On the next episode, I'm hoping to see you set up that boom arm.
Name this episode in a good way.
Air quotes, in a good way.
In the ancient way.
In the we still never talked about Prey, the movie.
Oh,
we're gonna do that next. We gotta do that next.
Oh man, yeah, dude, that movie was sick, man.
And then also we still got to do our contemporary singing episode. We haven't done that yet either. That's coming up,
dude. I'm excited about that one, so we got to do that one.
I'm too. And still, shout out to Wild Gallery, still supporting the show.
Oh, awesome, man! Congrats.
Congrats to us.
Yeah.
Did you congratulate Wild Gallery for hanging out with us?
Yeah. Thanks, awesome. Wild Gallery for sticking it out with us knuckleheads,
Yeah. So click on their link, I suppose, in the show notes.
Link will be in the show notes. Wild Gallery, thank you for your support.
Yeah.
We're just gonna be providing all this great confused content for you guys.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Wait, we got some other Patreons. Let's give them a quick shout out real quick while you're still here. Are you ready?
Yep.
I'm not ready. Let's see. Where am I at? Here we go. Okay. Here it is.
Pray about it.
Are you still here? Let's pray about it. Let's pray about it. Okay, we've got Mary Bobbitt. $5. $5 a month. That's awesome.
Mary.
Awesome. Thank you, Mary. Thank you.
A BLM archaeologist.
Well, there you go. Jason Friage. I think that's how you say it. FREIHAGE. Pitching in $5 a month. Awesome. Thanks, nice. Jason. Thanks, and then Jason. Travis Davis. He's the stand-up dude, man. He's
Ooh.
been supporting the show for a long time. He's
Since
been
the
giving us.
beginning.
I think so. Yeah, he's been pitching in 25 a month. Man, that's been
What?
helping out. Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Rachel Holster. She can't afford much, but she's really pitching in where she can. $2 a month. That's awesome. Way to
Oh,
go.
we'll take it. We'll
I
take
know,
it.
I know, and it
Very
helps.
thankful.
Same with Marzena. I don't know what her last name in it. I don't even know I'm saying the name right. Marzena. Marzena, maybe. $2 a month, pitching in. It's helping out. Thank you. Thank you. Ryan Swanson. Yep. $5 a month. He's
Oh,
been hanging in
thanks,
there for quite a
Ryan.
while too. Quite a
Yeah.
while. Thanks, Ryan. Awesome. And then Emma LaFave, $5 a month. You can't beat it. Awesome.
That's awesome.
I
Thank
know.
you.
Say it again.
Thank you.
Say
Thank
it
you.
with some meaning.
I'll pray for you.
Yes. 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 All right.
Thank you, though. For real. Thank
For
you.
real.
Everyone,
All right.
thank you.
All right. We're out.
All right. Peace.
Okay.